So I'm guessing if this popped up on your For You page, then it means that you don't leave relationships when you know that you should. And if that's the case, then I'm going to tell you something that my friend told me one time. She told me, it's like you always need closure. You always need something from someone else before you allow yourself to leave. And in the past, before she had told me this, I probably would have gotten caught up on her telling me that I need closure all the time because I was so convinced whenever I was trying to leave a relationship or after a relationship that I needed or wanted closure. But the difference in who I was whenever she told me this was I actually paid more attention to the second half of what she was saying. It's like you always need something from someone else before you allow yourself to leave. I started to realize that a big reason why I couldn't or wouldn't leave these relationships was because one, I wanted so desperately for this other person to understand me, but moreover, I wanted so desperately for this person to not perceive me as a bad person if the relationship did end. Basically, I was more afraid to be misunderstood and to be perceived as a person that I didn't believe myself to be than I was to stay in a relationship that I wasn't happy in. This is something I can only describe for myself as like good girl syndrome. And I know where this fear originated. It came from when I was a kid and I was constantly being told that I was a bad girl. So as a kid, I had to constantly prove myself and my worth to adults and my caregivers. So obviously that would carry over into my adulthood and my more personal relationships, especially my romantic relationships. The issue with being a people pleaser and having good girl syndrome is that you end up putting your needs and your boundaries on the back burner, but then all this resentment and anger builds, and then you eventually end up blowing up on this person and then showing that you're a bad person and then spiraling into a shame spiral and just like proving yourself with this evidence that you are in fact a bad person. But the thing is that you're not actually a bad person. The only reason that you even began to have this cycle or this behavioral pattern is because when you were a kid, you probably weren't getting your needs met. You had to prove that you were a good person and that you were worthwhile, which you should have never had to do that as a kid. So obviously you did go through like temper tantrum, meltdown, oh, I need to impress mommy or daddy, and then like repeat the cycle. So it makes sense that you would start doing this as an adult with your more interpersonal relationships and your romantic interests. So honestly, the only way to work through this is to be able to work on recognizing where these patterns came from, as well as learning your own needs and how to fulfill them, and surround yourself with other people who are willing and wanting to fulfill your needs without making you feel like you're an inconvenience and making you feel like you're 8 years old again. Stop making yourself feel like that too. Because if you start actually fulfilling your own needs and not making yourself feel bad for having those needs or for having or wanting boundaries, then when other people make you feel awkward or uncomfortable for having those needs or boundaries, you're going to be like, dude, I give myself that. My friends give me that. If you're not willing to give me that, that's okay. You don't have to sign up for that, but I'm not cool with that. Obviously, working on your acceptance of self. Anyway, my name is Sarah. I'm your favorite self-experimenting coach or companion, and I help get people reacquainted with who they most authentically are. You're an amazing person, and I hope you have the best day.